It's one of the most requested videos every week.
Every
You
single
guys
week.
love it. We love to bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
We are giving you our trade targets, both trade for and trade away, guys.
Come on.
Here, heading into week 7 of the fantasy football season. I know I might say this a little bit too much, but if you're down in the dumps about fantasy, don't give up just yet, okay? Constant reminder, I
That's
was
right.
1-7 last year, 1-7, and I still made the fantasy playoffs and won my championship in me and Badake's home league. Don't give up.
Don't give
Don't give
up.
up. Now, that's very unlikely to happen again ever for me, but just don't give up. There's always hope. Do us a favor, drop a like on this video, subscribe, and comment down below. Tell us who you want to trade for and who
That's
you're
right.
trading away. We're going to give you 3 trade for each and 1 trade away each. So, just before I go into my first one, I wish I prepped for this guy because I actually think he's probably the best trade low target. He might not even be a trade low, but I think he has a top 24 ceiling at his position for the rest of the season. With Hollywood Brown's injury,
Mm-hmm.
Rondale Moore. The usage of Greg Dortch, before Rondale Moore was on this team was a weekly person you could flex a 15 to 17 point floor.
Yeah.
A couple games underneath that, but the targets were there, the receptions were there. Then Rondale comes back, he takes over that role completely. Had I believe 10 targets last week. I'll need to double check. But Rondale Moore with Hollywood Brown being out at least 6 weeks, to me, has a top 24 ceiling rest of season. And I don't think this is like someone who's still available on, I think, over 40% of waiver wires. So he's not rostered in every single league.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is someone that people should go trade for because, again, this offense is throwing the ball, I think, the second most time, if not the most times per game of any offense in the NFL. I know Robbie Anderson's there. To me, he's not going to fill the Hollywood Brown role. He's just not the same player. He might
Agreed.
get a couple targets a game, like 3 to 4. But I think Rondale Moore is going to have an incredible role. And I just wanted to throw him out there. Like, do you feel the same way? Before we get into ours, like collectively, do you have any thoughts? I don't think he's going to cost as much. I think he's going to be like a solid flex play moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rondell more. I think the person I would lean a little bit more on would be Zach Ertz.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
A guy that's just going to be in the middle of the field, a safety blanket for Kyler Murray. I love Rondell Moore as well on the low. If you can get on waiver wires, if you can do a really clean, even swap trade on the low
Sure.
for Rondell Moore, absolutely. But Zach Ertz, I think at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, a top 8 tight end on the year so far.
He's a tight end 3 in PPR.
I mean, there you go. So
And he's one of those guys, by the way, who's not been like a ceiling play, but a consistent play.
yeah,
Not had a single game under 10 points. And one of the guys, I mean, we both loved him coming into the year. So
Mhm.
it's good to see that consistency was there. I like that take too.
yeah. I mean, if you can get Zach Ertz, I mean, it's going to be hard now.
Yeah.
But if there's a
There's
way
going
you
to
can
be
kind of
a
do that,
beneficiary somewhere.
yeah, exactly. So I like Zach Ertz moving forward.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'm sure some people were curious about where we stood on that. Wasn't able to prep for that Rondell take, but I wanted to make sure that it was said because I think it's a real Rondell and Ertz, like you said,
Yeah.
very good trade targets. All right, I'm gonna give you my first trade for, and that is Christopher Godwin.
Christopher, come on.
Okay. Yet to have a game over 16 PPR fantasy points,
Right.
and he has yet to score a touchdown. But I think a trade is going to pay off for Chris Godwin. Firstly, he is still Tom's go-to wide receiver, and
Mhm.
I believe the fantasy points are going to follow. Those ceiling games are going to follow. Last year, let's look at the targets per game in this wide receiver room. Chris Godwin leading them with 9, then AB, then Gronk, Evans at 7.1, and then Fournette at 6. So you can see kind of how it shook up last year. Godwin was still the clear favorite.
Yeah.
With Tom Brady as his quarterback and averaging, like you can see there, 9 targets per game. Last year, Godwin was able to put up the 8th most fantasy points per game on a PPR format, and he was able to thrive. Now you look at this year. Let's look at the targets per game this year, okay? Chris Godwin is averaging 9.3. Sorry, the targets per game since week 4. Okay, this is since week 4, since Godwin has come back and this offense has been relatively whole. So since week 4, Chris Godwin's averaging 9.3 targets per game,
Mhm.
more than he did last year when
Right.
he was, when he finished as the 8th most points per game amongst wide receivers. You can see Fournette's actually second. Then we have Evans. Those top 3 guys are just getting enough target share to be an incredible start every single week. And if you look at Chris Godwin's averages since week 4, he is 9th in targets amongst wide receivers. He is 8th in receptions. He is 18th in yards. and then 23rd in points. Some of these things don't add up. What I'm trying to show you is that right now 23rd in points, but everything else is there. The targets are there. The receptions are there. The quarterback play is there.
Right.
With these opportunities, he is going to find the end zone. The upside will be there. It's just untapped right now. I feel like he's kind of like a butterfly just about to get out of the cocoon and fully spread his wings.
Right.
Obviously, he's going to get stronger and stronger as the year goes on, recovering from that ACL injury. But I don't see any reason why he can't be top 12 rest of season in points per game, just like he was averaging last year. He's getting more targets per game. He's getting the eighth amount of receptions, eighth most amount of receptions per game as well in the position. And this team, the identity of this team favors a strong finish for Godwin, but also for Mike Evans.
Right.
As it currently stands, Tom Brady and the Bucs are throwing the ball the third most times per game. And both of these players, I think, are great buy lows. Badake was about to bring Mike Evans as well.
Yeah.
And he kind of knows, we talked about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about these guys. So we both really like this Mike Evans take as well.
Exactly.
But I would say Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both great buy lows right now. Guys who haven't hit their ceiling on a consistent basis just yet. The Bucs and Tom Brady are throwing the ball more times per game than the Bills, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Lions. Some of these pass-happy teams, Tom Brady is throwing it more than these teams. And this is how this team is going to have to win if they want to get to the playoffs. Currently 3-3.
Yeah.
I saw a report today where Pat McAfee was talking about it with someone who's inside that building saying, well, Tom doesn't want to throw that much. Well, too bad. He has to because they are not exactly a two-dimensional team. Like, they can rush it, but at the same time, that offensive line is not a position where they can successfully run the ball like some of these other teams in the NFL. Even if Tom doesn't want it, they're going to have to be up there in the top 5 category in pass attempts per game this year. And there are 2 really, really good matchups, actually 3 pretty good matchups ahead for Godwin and Evans. They face Carolina in Week 7, who give up the 11th most points to the position.
Right.
Then they face the Baltimore Ravens in Week 8, who give up the 4th most points to the position.
Come on.
I think that Ravens game could be a huge game for one of these guys because obviously Lamar's going to be able to score and Tom's going to be able to throw on this defense. And then in Week 9, the LA Rams they play, which give up the 12th most points to the position. Like, that's not incredible, but it's the reason I say that is if you look at their schedule, the Rams shouldn't make you scared of Godwin like they have in the past. So give me Chris Godwin. I'm going to give you a couple names. As we always like to say, you can try some of these as straight swaps, but we're trying to give you a gauge on value. Players that you can go out and maybe that are on your team that you can move for Godwin in packages, in conversations. Right. The whole point of bringing this list is for you to start conversations in your leagues. Give me Chris Godwin over Christian Kirk, over T. Higgins. I know that one is a little bit risky, but I still love T. Higgins, okay? Right. And I almost brought him as a buy low himself, but I'll take Godwin over T. Higgins. I'll take Godwin over DK Metcalf, Gabe Davis, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Devonta Smith, Mike Evans, his own teammate, even though I like him as a buy low. Najee Harris. I don't know if you can get that done, but with the landscape market, with the landscape of the running back market, people are valuing running backs more than wide receivers right now. So it could happen. Kareem Hunt, Clyde, Ramondre. Give me Godwin over all those players. Again, I think the targets are there, the receptions are there, the quarterback play is there. We just need to see the points. I think those points are coming.
Yeah, I love Chris Godwin. I love Mike Evans. Like Zach said, I was going to bring Mike Evans. 2 great guys. You can go. There's a window of opportunity right now that you can go get him and see what happens. See what happens going into Week 7. My first trade for target. Give it to Chubb.
Nick's got a big old Chubb.
Nick's got a big old Chubb and a perfect opportunity. There's a window, a crack in the door saying, "Hey, my name's Nick Chubb. Maybe you can come get me." And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Currently the RB2 on the year coming into the season. I was wrong. We were wrong. I was saying Nick Chubb is a guy you should be avoiding just based off of this, everything that's happened in the offseason with Deshaun Watson. They lost a couple old linemen early in the preseason. I was like, there's no way Jacoby Brissett was going to run this offense. Well, he's been doing his thing, right? And Nick Chubb is still getting the opportunity. Amari Cooper is like a top 15 wide receiver at the moment. It's crazy. There was no way I was expecting that going to happen. I thought they were going to be stacking the box and specifically stopping Nick Chubb. And that's not the case. RB2 on the season. He's been incredible. But Week 6, 12 carries, 56 yards, only 8 fantasy points. I think it's something about Bill Belichick going back to Cleveland every single time. He has a mental hold on this team, on this city. It feels like every time he goes there, something special, or when I say something special, I mean something special happens for Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to go out and get Nick Chubb. This was the first time this year Nick Chubb had less than 15 carries, and he was held for under 60 yards. There's no doubt in my mind that Nick Chubb is going to continue to do and pick up where he left off, from weeks 1 to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, let me remind you, weeks 1, over 15 fantasy points. Week 2, over 32 fantasy points. Week 3, 17. Week 4, 20. Week 5, 25 fantasy points, and then he drops down to 8. Clearly, they had a hold on this Browns team. They weren't letting him get the ball. Only 12 attempts. Even for Kareem Hunt, he only had 4 attempts, 1.2 fantasy points. Like they were irrelevant. It looks like they abandoned the run early. And going into the next couple weeks versus the Ravens, who give it the 15 most fantasy points at the running back position, so a middle of the pack, a divisional game can go either way. We all know how those games go. And then week 8 versus the Bengals, another divisional game, can go any way. But the last time they played the Bengals, Nick Chubb went for 14 carries, 137 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That can be the Nick Chubb next week. That could be the Nick Chubb for the next 2 weeks, right? And then he has a bye. So if you can go out and try and get Nick Chubb, I would definitely do it. And there's going to be a limited amount of people you really can do it with. So
yeah, people are still going to value him pretty highly.
Exactly. So I'm thinking someone like a Derrick Henry. Maybe if you can get him, maybe that's even too low. I'm thinking Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, people we just talked about, or CMC. He could go to a different team where his utilization could get messed up. I mean, some people like other people more than others, like Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Lenny. Those are the people. And then wide receivers. I mean, if you can get Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson, I would not do that personally. But I'm thinking more of like a Devontae Adams personally, a CeeDee Lambs personally, a Mike Evans, like I said. So once again, start a conversation, see what you can do. Maybe you can kind of swindle somebody on the low, but I would be going out and trying to get Nick Chubb.
Yeah, like Nick Chubb. We were both wrong on Nick Chubb as it currently stands, and let's see if that continues. Probably does. But by the way, on this team, what I wanted Allen Robinson to be for dynasty purposes, an old vet who went to a different situation,
right?
Still has a contract, and could be very important to an offense. What I wanted Allen Robinson to be, Amari Cooper was. And I just want to say in dynasty, people still are disrespecting him. I remember in one of our dynasty startup drafts, I was able to get Amari Cooper in the 13th round. I don't know if you remember that, but
I do remember that
in one of our follower leagues, and I have him in quite a few dynasty leagues just because I thought, hey, with Deshaun coming back, maybe just want to throw him out there as well. He still has it. He's still one of the best route runners in the NFL, and with Deshaun coming back in dynasty, maybe have a look at him.
He get the wide receiver, currently the wide receiver 11 for Amari Cooper.
Yeah. All right, my little gold nuggets everywhere in this one.
Golden here, wow, something special.
All right, my second trade for target is. Bear with me for a second.
I'm listening.
Okay. Is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen.
Oh, no.
There's clearly a buy low window for Keenan Allen.
100%.
He was drafted as the wide receiver 10 and is currently the wide receiver 116 on the year. He has missed 5 games due to his hamstring injury.
Yeah.
And I have been waiting for the right time to bring Keenan Allen on this video because I think there is a small pocket where the value's at an all-time low and you have to trade for him now. And that's what I feel like the time is right here, right now. Let's talk about the injury. Aging wide receivers and hamstrings. Name a more iconic duo. I think you said the other day, running backs and Achilles. And I was like, damn, you're right. That's a more iconic duo. Should it be concerning that Keenan Allen has missed 5 games with this hamstring injury? Yes, of course it should be concerning. But the good news, let's talk about the good news. They haven't rushed him back. For certain injuries, the only answer is time. And we hate that because we're in this world right now where everything is instant. My food's here. I deliver it. It's here. I microwave. I heat up. Everything is instant to me in this world that I'm currently in.
Right.
I want to go somewhere, get an Uber to me. we hate waiting right now. And
Yeah.
for fantasy football, that makes sense because you need wins right now. But outside of fantasy football, if we look at Keenan Allen's career and this Chargers team, they have done the smartest thing for their players' long-term health. You cannot hurry a player back from a hamstring injury, especially an aging player. So the Chargers have done the right thing. They're thinking about this home stretch. They're thinking about the playoffs. Hopefully they get there. Like, let's think back to some other teams who have tried to rush players back from injuries in the past couple of years. The one that comes to mind instantly to me is Julio Jones. His hamstring injuries that he had both on the Titans and the Falcons, more specifically the Falcons, because that's kind of the part of Keenan's career that's kind of like meets their age a little bit better as far as where
Right.
Keenan is now. On a weekly basis, we saw Julio Jones trying to fight through a hamstring injury. And it's like, he's limited in practice. All right, he's going to play. Oh, he got hurt. He's not playing. He's limited in practice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hurt. You know, it's this constant cycle. And again, aging players need a little bit more time to fully heal. The Falcons and Julio Jones did not prioritize his health. Let's just be honest. They prioritized him being out there on the field.
Yeah.
How about Curtis Samuel last year? It's a different injury, but it's the same perspective as far as you have to wait for certain injuries to heal. Curtis Samuel had a groin injury last year. I was really excited about him in Washington, but Washington didn't allow for him to get proper time to heal that injury, and Samuel never moved past it. So yes, while we can be upset if you own Keenan Allen and he hasn't played, but at the same time, like, this is what they should have done. From all the reports that I have heard, Keenan Allen will be back this week versus the Seahawks. Now, there's a bye week coming up after the Seahawks, and there's a possibility that he doesn't play. You have to monitor these practice reports. Use this knowledge to your benefit in trade negotiations. The person who has Keenan Allen, they drafted him in the second or third round this year.
Yeah.
They're probably struggling as a team unless they really hit on late round players.
Yeah.
Use this as an advantage. Yeah, I know the reports say that Keenan could come back this week, but they have a bye week, man. I mean, they're not going to rush him back before the bye week. And, you know, that could actually be true. But regardless, you're getting a value right now compared to, you know, what he's valued in the market. Let's talk about Keenan's role when he returns. What will it be? It will be the same role he had before he left. No one has filled that role. Josh Palmer is a good prospect, but he's definitely not filled the Keenan Allen role. And, you know, before he left, he was that safety blanket over the middle wide receiver for Justin Herbert. In week 1, before his exit, Keenan Allen had 4 catches for 66 yards on 22 snaps. The snaps are important there. 22 snaps he played. The Chargers had 67 snaps that week. Keenan was on track, again, on track, not saying it would happen, but he was on track for 12 receptions and 201 yards through the air. Why am I telling you that? Because I'm telling you that he was a vital part of this offense, used early and often. He was projected to have 32.1 fantasy points, on track to have 32.1 fantasy points. Again, who knows how that game would have panned out and how it would have evolved, but I'm telling you this to show you how involved he was. He's not an afterthought for this team. He might be an afterthought in someone's fantasy roster right now, though.
Right.
Thirdly, the last thing I'll say is, let's talk about his current value. According to ECR, I think he's very, very valuable. Even some trades that I've seen in dynasty leagues, like, I think a lot of people are devaluing Keenan, which I understand. Like, 30 years old, you know, you might want to get out now. But if you're win now, it's interesting to look at. But specifically in redraft, again, keep in mind the person who drafted him late second, early third, and they've been without their draft pick for 5 of 6 games this year. People are willing to move this guy and just get rid of the unknown circumstance. He is currently the wide receiver 28 in ECR rest of season. ECR is a bunch of experts that come together. It's a consensus ranking over on Fantasy Pros. He is a wide receiver 28 over there. So I'm going to give you some names that maybe you can do straight up for Keenan. Maybe you can do in a package, but these are names that I think you can start a conversation with. Terry McLaurin is really interesting because he's at least been there. He's not injured. And there is a change to this offense coming, right? Whether that's going to be good or bad for Terry, we don't know. I almost feel like I'm more worried about Curtis Samuel now that Carson Wentz isn't there than I am Terry, because Terry and Taylor Heineke have this previous chemistry. And we don't know how the offense is going to change. So Terry McLaurin could be someone that you could potentially shop around for Keenan Allen. Zeke after a good game. Brandon Cooks, Raheem Mostert, Brian Robinson after, you know, he kind of saved his week with a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, Jerry Jeudy, Alan Lazard, all these players are guys that I'm willing to at least start a conversation with to try and go get Keenan Allen. When he comes back, you know he's done the right thing in fully healing the injury, and you know his role is going to be very important on a very good offense attached to a very good quarterback. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to go out and trade for Keenan Allen right now. And more specifically, if I'm in a position where I am the 5-1 team, the 4-2 team,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
3-3 team in my league, and I can make that risk.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. You know, if you are in a position to do that, I think that is key. Getting Keenan Allen, a veteran guy that has been struggling on a team that's 2-4, and they need a win. And you can trade away a Curtis Samuel, and they're not really understanding what's happening. Hey, you need a starting wide receiver, a starting flex option. Here's Curtis Samuel, or somebody else, whatever the case may be. Brandon Cooks, give me Keenan Allen, and then you can sit on him for a couple weeks or however long you need to. Love the take. My second trade for target, Matthew Stafford. And I know it may sound crazy, but hear me out. This is obviously specifically for catered for Superflex League specifically. But if you need a quarterback and you are 5-1, 4-2, 6-0, whatever the case may be, I think you have to be on the winning side here to really go out and get a Matthew Stafford that is on a bye week right now. And the reason why I believe you should be getting Matthew Stafford is because I do believe things are going to turn around. I know right now the offensive lineman, all this drama. Offensive lineman is terrible. Cam Akers drama, it's terrible. Who's going to be the running back? What is happening? There's so much noise coming from the outside for the Rams right now. Super Bowl champions looking terrible. And Sean McVay, that is the key word. Sean McVay. That's the person I believe in the most. That's the person I believe that even after they beat the Panthers, they're still disappointed in the way that they shouldn't have performed the way they did.
Sure.
I mean, CMC, he was running all over them. Obviously, PJ Walker wasn't doing anything, but CMC specifically, I think they're upset on their performance of obviously the last couple weeks, the last 6 weeks specifically. And I'm believing in Sean McVay to turn things around. He's going to this bye week saying he's trying to get rid of Cam Akers. He's trying to figure out what's happening with the offensive line. Him and Matthew Stafford, I personally believe, are going to sit down and be like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to, this is who we need to get more involved. We're getting Van Jefferson back in the second half of the season. So if we can turn that around right now, I think it can definitely be an opportunity, right? Excuse me, Blaze in the background. But look, a lot of quarterbacks on bye this week, right? Hear me out on this. A lot of top quarterbacks on bye. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, obviously Matthew Stafford, Christian Kirk. If you can trade any of these quarterbacks,
Kirk Cousins, maybe.
Kirk Cousins, excuse me. Who did I say?
Christian Kirk.
Kirk. Kirk
Put
Cousins.
him back there. Wildcat.
Yeah, a Wildcat. Honestly, if you're a team, if there's a team that has Matthew Stafford 2-4, 1-5, 3-3, and they desperately need a quarterback right now, I'm in a situation where I have Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford on the bye. I'm going into this week where I can't start a quarterback. I have Jared Goff right now, so maybe they're in the same position. Maybe they need a quarterback and they need to win. I mean, I'm a little bit different because
QB2, right?
I'm 5-1, whatever the case may be. But same thing, according to
Humble
Fantasy,
brag.
Yeah, humble brag. According to Fantasy Pros, once again, a bunch of experts come together, bring rest of season ECR. Give me Matthew Stafford over these quarterbacks that they are projecting higher than Matthew Stafford right now. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins himself, Geno Smith, Tua Tags.
I like that one.
Tua Tags and Jared Goff. And you can go about it however way you want. Obviously, if you can give away Geno and get Matthew Stafford back, fantastic. If you can give away Jared Goff and get Matthew Stafford back, maybe some people like Jared Goff over, maybe some people don't. Since I did my my prep on this, now Justin Fields is higher than Matthew Stafford, which I don't understand.
I guess get it like the rushing upside.
Yeah, I guess the rushing upside. But once again, I do believe the turnaround. Remember, this is the Super Bowl champion team.
Sure. Yeah.
The defense is going to come back and has to be better. The offensive line, they need to do some Tom Brady things. You need to spit on their faces or whatever. Like he was on the sidelines, like yelling at them. Maybe Matthew Stafford needs to do that. In this bye week, or Sean McVay needs to do that and then get something going. But I'm really, really excited for Matthew Stafford in the second half of the season.
Hey, they got the win, and Allen Robinson outscored Cooper Kupp. It's crazy how I know the Panthers. They were probably going to beat the Panthers all along, but what I've been saying all year is you can't just feed only one player
Mm-hmm.
and that is your offense. It's not going to work long term. So they need to get some of these people more involved. I think this is a bold take from you. I'll say that. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
bold and I don't hate it. And the reason I don't hate it is because it's kind of perfect what you're saying. Like the player who has him probably is struggling, and the bye week is when changes happen. So
Yeah.
it's a all in or all out approach, because
Yeah.
if they come back from the bye week and they look shit again, it's like, damn, well, let's ride with it. But I
Yeah.
think I believe in Stafford. I believe in this coaching staff enough for them to make the appropriate changes to have a successful offense. So yeah, I like it. All right, my last trade for target this week. Maybe you heard of him ever before.
Yeah.
Brought him last week. I think I'm gonna bring him again this week.
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor. You ever heard of this guy, Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, JT RB1 last year.
You heard of him?
Yeah. It was all right.
I brought him last week, and I want to
Mhm.
bring him again this week. I think what I said last week was if he misses this week, there's an even better buy low, and I think that's where we are now. And if you look at Deion Jackson's fantasy performance last week, that should give you even more hope that Jonathan Taylor can come out and be this 25 point per game fantasy running back that he has been all of last year. Why is there a buy low window? Well,
Right.
Jonathan Taylor was drafted as the 101, the RB1 in all of fantasy football. There wasn't another player drafted ahead of him. And as it currently stands, he is the running back 39. Running back 39 on the year.
3-9, JT
Okay.
RB1.
In 2 of 4 games, he has had under 7.5 fantasy points, obviously dealing with the ankle injury. Again, just because it's obvious doesn't mean that it's wrong. And if you heard my take last week, you can go ahead and skip to the next one. I'm going to repeat a couple of things, but I just want to put it fresh on people's minds. And I didn't want to bring a new person just to bring a new person when I personally believe that this is still one of the best buy lows. I still think that this is the best information to bring to you on this video. What I said last week was there are certain points where superstars, we have rare buy low opportunities for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I said the in-season redraft fantasy football community reminds me of one of my favorite shows, which is Survivor. By the way, I know you haven't watched Survivor, but you should get in on Survivor.
Too many
It's actually
episodes.
incredible. Too many episodes? No way. You're watching your Love Island's got
That's
50
what I said.
episodes.
That's why I said it. I was like, oh, too many episodes. Because I know Survivor has a lot of episodes.
Survivor has like, I think 10 episodes, and you watch Love Island. So come on, you can get on board.
It's a drama. Yeah.
Anyway, in Survivor, there's a saying that everyone, because it's a game about social skills,
Mm-hmm.
outwit, outlast, outperform. There's a saying that is perception is people's reality. And again, in fantasy football, and you might be watching this and you may not be that person. Congratulations, that's what you should do. But in fantasy football, every week is a new reality for people. Their perception changes and it's a new reality. I mean, we have people even on our Dynasty channel who are now asking, is Jonathan Taylor even a top 3 Dynasty running back? Because he's missing time with an ankle injury? New reality for people every week.
Right.
For example, about this new reality, it seems silly now, but Justin Jefferson in week 1 this year, goated, 40 points on the week. In week 2, okay, all right, kind of struggled, only got me 10 points. In week 3, people were freaking out. They were like, what the hell is going on with Justin Jefferson? He only gave me 4 points. I
Right.
brought Justin Jefferson as a buy low on this video series after that week 3 performance where he put up 4 points, and I was shocked by the amount of people who responded saying things like, I sold him. I can't deal with the boom bust. He's too inconsistent. He's just good. He's not elite. He was found out. Like trades that I saw on the Twitter sphere, on our Discord,
Right.
and even in the comments that people were talking about, it shocked me the amount of people who were open to moving Justin Jefferson. Now, it's a new reality as we record this video because Jefferson has submitted himself as a wide receiver 1 in the league or wide receiver 2. But again, there are small opportunities, and you might not be that person, but there could be someone out there who feels about that, who feels about JT in that way. For example, 2 weeks ago, I brought Dalvin Cook, a player who had all the right opportunities, all the right metrics, but people didn't want him on their team anymore because of the unknowns and the bad performances. Okay, point being, you might not be the person who's freaking out on JT, but the person who has JT, you don't know how they feel. You don't know what their reality is. So just because you don't believe JT should be sold low, or maybe you don't believe that you want to buy him, regardless, everyone has a different perception, which means that everyone's reality is going to be a little bit different. And what I wanted to, just quickly say is he is still the focal point of this offense. If you look at averages from 2021 when he finished as the RB1 and averages this year, his snap percentage is drastically up. His
Mm-hmm.
rushing attempts per game is up. His targets
Mm-hmm.
per game is up. His touches per game is up. Everything is there for him to still come out and put up that 20 to 25 point performance on a weekly basis. And by the way, those targets are probably going to go up. They saw a relatively successful offense this week, and Deion Jackson had 10 receptions. Um, what could Jonathan Taylor do when he comes back? So
Right.
he has Tennessee this week. It's a tough matchup, but I think again, use that to your advantage in trade conversations. Then they go to Washington. If my fantasy, and again, someone who supports Washington, if my fantasy wide receiver or running back or quarterback could face Washington every single week, I would have not lost a single game this entire year.
Right.
Um, so again, give me JT over. I said this last week. I still feel the same way. A lot of people were like, "What about Chubb?" No, I still want JT over Chubb. Give me JT over any running back not named Saquon or Christian McCaffrey. Give me JT over any wide receiver not named Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson. It's going to take a package, but again, there's your floor. Try and start having some conversations. And even if I'm in a tough spot where I'm not winning games, I think it's safe to trade for him because I truly do believe this is the week that he's back. Deion Jackson's also dealing with an injury, so I don't know if he's going to be a big part of that offense or not. And even when JT comes back, like let's be honest, it's JT's workload. It's not going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, if you can get JT on the low, why not? See what you can do. I like to trade for. My last trade for target, another controversial one, maybe a bold one. It's CLYDE. CLYDE the Glide.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the Kansas City Chiefs. This could be a 2-week window for you guys. Currently the RB13. Okay, once again, 2-week window. I know it doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't feel good. But if you need a running back, Clyde could be your guy. Last 2 weeks, it's been disappointing after, that fantastic start from, weeks 1 to 4. He was a RB4 in those first 4 weeks and then dropped down to RB13. But weeks 5, only 6 fantasy points versus the Raiders. We all know how those games go. A divisional game. The Raiders somehow always have the Chiefs number, or sometimes it's just a massive blowout. You know how those divisional game goes. Then week 6, only 3 fantasy points versus the Bills. I think that's expected, right? A team that you can't really run on, and the only way you can really win this game is through the air, and that's exactly, even though they didn't win, that was exactly what they were doing. This was their first time JUJU Smith, had one of his biggest games. Okay, week 7 now, you go into week 7 versus the 49ers, another tough matchup, giving you at least giving the 5th least amount of points to the running back position. Then he has week 8 is a bye week, right? So this is why I say 2-week window. But in my opinion, I think it's clear that Clyde is the guy, and over Isaiah Pacheco, and yes, Jet McKinnon. In the past couple times he did carry the ball, he did look better, he did look more explosive, but still, I'm still leaning on Clyde in the usage, specifically in the red zone and everything that's happening. Week 7 snaps. Just week 7 alone and throughout the whole season, he is leading this backfield. And I have a little thing here that says week 7, and he has 28 snaps, 16 routes run, 9 carries, no targets. But if you look at the rest of the season, it's Clyde is the clear leader in that position, in every single one of those things: snaps, routes, carries, targets. Right? Once again, I know it doesn't sound sexy, but if you need a running back, I do really believe Clyde could help you. He's not going to be a top 15. He's not going to be a top 5 running back. Top 25 feels really comfortable for a guy right now in this backfield. And looking into the future after the bye week, that's what I'm saying. This could be a 2-week window. So he does really bad in week 7, and then week 8, maybe you can kind of swindle something for Clyde. He's playing the Titans, who are pretty good against the run. And then he has the Jags, who give the 6th most points to the running back position, and then the Chargers, who give up the most fantasy points to the running back position. Once again, I'm going to repeat myself. It doesn't sound sexy, but I think Clyde could be a good even medium. I love how he's getting used in the red zone. I love how he's catching these, the touchdowns. Right now he has 5 touchdowns on the year. He's scored a touchdown in not every single, in 1, 2, 3 games out of the last 6. So half of the games he has scored a touchdown, right? I think that could continue in the touchdown and the red zone usage. And just going off ECR, which sounds crazy because ECR does look crazy, but the way things are kind of panning out, give me Clyde over some of these guys. James Robinson, we've seen the decline, a guy that I said you should be trading for. I was clearly wrong. Travis Etienne is showing out. I think I'd rather have James Robinson in the upside of Clyde in that offense. A.J. Dillon, mind you, in a package. I'm not trying to do straight up AJ Dillon, because AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones are kind of struggling right now. Same thing with Aaron Jones. Can you trade away? Can you get Clyde and some pieces and for Aaron Jones, like trade away Aaron Jones and some pieces for Clyde? Do you get what I'm saying? Or vice versa. James Conner, Kareem Hunt, a guy that could be moving, they could be going anywhere. Once again, based on ECR, these are the type of people that I'm looking to move for Clyde. So I really like Clyde, and this is a guy I've been trying to target, and it's just really hard because of the people that own him in our home leagues and our big money leagues. But I really want Clyde right now.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I've just been so anti-Clyde, pretty much like
that's
for like the entire offseason. But it depends on the players. I think you're right. Like some of these packages could definitely work out. But yeah, let's see what happens with Clyde. I mean, the frustrating thing if you play against Clyde is it's like, okay, really not doing anything. Okay, he has 2 touchdowns. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. But hey, that's the whole point. And that's what you need for Clyde.
Yeah.
So
let's see. He's definitely thriving off of those like important touches, important opportunities. All right, we're gonna give you a couple tradeaways. I'm gonna go first, and that is Darrell Henderson, aka Darnel Anderson.
Darnell Anderson, Mr. Anderson.
Why is there a sell high window? Well, Cam Akers has evaporated into thin air. He no longer is associated with this organization. Really weird report came out. We were just like, oh, okay, so he's not involved.
So he's not on the team anymore.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. Okay. And Darrell Henderson's coming off a game where he had 15 opportunities and a touchdown. He's clearly the lead running back in this backfield. He finished as the RB15 as we are recording this. He finished as the RB15. We still have Monday Night Football to go. But let me ask you guys watching this. There's not going to be a lot of analytics, but I want you to kind of feel where I'm coming from right now. Let me ask you guys, if you have been watching these Rams games like I have, is this an offense that you want any part of outside of Cooper Kupp? You have to reply to that question and let me know in the comments. Let me ask you another question. Do you believe the Rams are content with this current running back room? And I think this is the most important one for you to answer. Do you believe the Rams are content with this running back room? Again, no analytics here, but personally, if someone who's been watching these Rams games, I like Henderson. I do like him. One of my draft values this year. But I personally feel like they're not done with this running back room. This is not the run. It's not Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown. That's not it. Could it be CMC? I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. How about Kyren Williams? I think he could have a much bigger role than anticipated when he comes back off of the IR, which could be any week now. Kyren Williams could eat into Darrell Henderson's workload. Last year, when injuries happened with Cam Akers, what did they do? They brought in Sony Michel. There could be a veteran running back in the trade market that they could be looking for, or in free agency to kind of spice up this running back room. Because even when Darrell Henderson was given the full workload, it wasn't enough for this team. And then he also sustained some injuries.
Right.
And, his role kind of changed. So to me right now, I'm more than willing. He was a start that I liked this week. But what I said was I'm more than willing to move him away in a trade package. And I think because he scored a touchdown, because he was clearly the guy, you have enough ammunition right now to show people that and say, let me try and, get one of these players off of you. Last thing is the upcoming matchups are not very good. Okay. In week 8, they have a bye week this week, but after that in week 8, they face San Francisco. That is a really tough matchup for running backs. They currently give up the 4th fewest points to the running back position. In week 9, they face Tampa Bay. That's a very tough matchup. The toughest. I mean, they give up the fewest points, Tampa Bay, to fantasy running backs. So I would be looking to move Darrell Henderson. I'm going to give you a couple names. How about Kareem Hunt, who just came off an absolute stinker of a game? How about Clyde, someone that Badake brought? I'll take Clyde over Darrell Henderson. I don't think that's crazy. How about Amari Cooper, Travis Etienne? Ken Walker's probably unrealistic at this point, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Maybe you could look at a package. Some of these players might have to be packages, but again, Darrell Henderson, I'm happy to hold him, but I think the matchups are really tough, and I'm personally not convinced that he's going to be the only running back there rest of season. And also, that offensive line is rough, man. That offensive line is rough.
Like I said, hopefully it turns around in the second half.
Yeah, more than willing to move him if I get the right offer. But I don't. This isn't like an aggressive trade away
Right.
because of the opportunity she's probably going to see. But again, there's a lot of other players I'd rather have right now the rest of season.
Just to throw out a couple names here. Ronald Jones, you think he can get, since the Chiefs aren't using him? Is it sexy?
Okay. I was like, I thought you were asking me or Henderson.
Oh, no.
Like could he go to?
Could he
LA?
go? I'm trying to think of names. Like I'm looking at free agents. I see Ronald Jones. I see Kareem Hunt. I know that was a big name. People that are available for some players. I mean, I can't really see anyone else moving
you know
right
what?
now.
Hey, could Kareem Hunt get traded to the Rams?
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt instantly becomes the running back in that backfield.
No doubt about it. I mean,
because you know how they're struggling with his contract situation. Only has 1 year left, and doesn't look like there's going to get a long-term deal.
That's the only person I can.
And
see
they
going.
have their running back depth is so good in Cleveland, they could afford to do that. Let's say Kareem to the Rams for a 5th round pick, a 4th round pick. I think that's possible.
Yeah, those are the only people I can see. At least right now, like I can't see someone like a Raheem moving at the moment, or a Melvin moving at the moment, or a Jet moving at the moment. I just can't see. Even if you want to give like a 6th or 7th, I just don't see. Doesn't make sense. Like Ronald Jones, the first person that popped up to mind because healthy scratch every single day or every single week, just hasn't been utilized.
Yeah, he's definitely interesting for sure. Yeah.
My trade for target, talking about healthy scratches and the Chiefs and stuff. Juju Smith-Schuster. The TikTok king himself, TikTok Juju. Sell him now.
I like this.
Sell him now. Yeah. Okay, finished as a wide receiver 7 in week 6. Caught 5 out of 5 targets, over 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 22 fantasy points. That's not happening every week. Look me in my eyes and tell me that's going to happen every week. I can guarantee you that's not going to happen. Coming into this all season, we was like, okay, Juju, he could be the guy, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be feeding the ball around. Juju Smith, the only true wide receiver 1 on the team. What was going to happen? And it's been terrible. It's been really, really bad. Very inconsistent. A guy that we're not wanting to lean on anymore. If you can sell him for anything, I say anything, I would definitely do it. Let me just remind you what's been happening. Week 1, 10 points. Week 2, 4 points. Week 3, 13 points. You telling me if you're starting him at this point. Week 4, 9 points. Week 5, 6 points. Week 6 against Buffalo, 22 points. You telling me next week, Juju Smith got 22 points against the Buffalo Bills. He might do it against the 49ers in week 7. I'm not starting him in week 7. I'll tell you that much. I know Zach probably ain't going to start him in week 7. I think we'll still be significantly more comfortable still to start, so many other people. I mean, for me, Deontay, Drake London, Chris Olave. I'm thinking of just names that you're probably saying, I don't know, should I start him or not? I mean, Alan Lazard, Jerry Jeudy. Jacoby Myers for me, I'm happy to start. And these aren't even names I'm telling you to trade. I'm just saying I'm still starting those people over Juju. And he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, right? Yeah. So, once again, week 7 against the 49ers will give it the 5th least amount of points to the wide receiver position. Then he goes to a bye week in week 8. Give me the following players over Juju: Adam Thielen, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, Wando Robinson, and maybe some pieces. George Pickens, Romeo Dubs, and Brian Robinson. Got to throw B-Rob in there. I'll take B-Rob any day. But yeah, Juju, no thank you. See you later.
Yeah, the point that I was out on Juju Smith-Schuster was when his quarterback himself told us that it was going to be inconsistent. Like, as soon as Pat Mahomes came out and he was like, hey, guys, I'm going to throw to a lot of different wide receivers. It's going to be a different person every week.
Yeah.
I want to prep you guys for fantasy football. And then a lot of people are like, why is Juju inconsistent? It's like, did you listen? So I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. Sell high. There's probably going to be another game like this year. Couldn't tell you when it's going to be, but there's going to be a lot more of those under 10-point games moving forward. And Sky Moore is going to get more and more involved as the year goes on as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, these are longer videos, and I want to keep, I want to find out who's watching all the way to the end. So if you are one of the people who watched all the way to the end, I want you to give me your top 5 cereals. Okay. I just want to see if there's anyone in the comments who actually, like, if anyone
Top 5
waited this
cereals.
long in the videos, I want to see comments. Top 5 cereals. Go. What's number 1? Is Fruit Loops in there? Is Lucky Charms in there? Cinnamon Toast Crunch gotta be. I mean, I'm gonna be just disappointed if you know Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I mean, I haven't had it in years. I'd have a
I
top
wanna
3
see-
easy, but anyways.
You have a top 3? Okay.
I have a top 4. I love Frosted Flakes, Apple Jacks, Captain Crunch, berries with no marshmallows. Take the marshmallows out, and then actually 3. That's all I get. The Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops. That's all. I'll say Fruit Loops.
There is no way in hell Frosted Flakes makes a top 4.
I love Frosted Flakes.
Absolutely.
Give me some Frosted Flakes.
Is Frosted Flakes bad? No.
No.
Is Frosted Flakes respected in the community like that? I don't.
It should be. It definitely should be.
Absolutely not. No.
I
way.
know you still remember those commercials. They're great. You're like, holy shit, Mom, give me some Frosted Flakes.
For me, I'll just say my 1, and I'll reveal the list later if this becomes a thing. Number 1 is Captain Crunch with the berries. Captain Crunch with the berries.
Without the marshmallows, though.
No, never marshmallows in cereal.
Yeah, some people like the marshmallows. No, not us.
Yeah. Well, I guess Lucky Charms has marshmallows, and that's pretty good.
Mm.
Anyway, Cinnamon Toast Crunch gotta be up there. Hey, okay. Anyway, so let us know if you watch this long. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and if you have trade targets that you're trying to either trade for or trade away this week, let us know in the comments below. The more knowledge, the better. People are always having conversations in the comments. Huge love and good luck heading into week 7. Wow, God, so far.
Crazy.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
Watch
now,
it.
You can also subscribe
Right now.
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.